So great work, all of you.
Can I have a show of hands just so that I can see how many of you would consider yourselves fairly new to this business? Let me see roughly how many of you in the room. Okay, so there's a few of you. Okay. How many of you, just so I can see it visually, are, would consider yourselves have been around for a little while now and you've been around the tracks in terms of this business? Raise your hands. Okay, so there's a little less of you. Okay, cool. Just so that we know roughly who we're talking to in the room. It's very different when you're on the other side of the screen.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to say to you guys is we're going to give you some Q&A opportunity at the end of this. We've a lot of information to motor through. As I always say, if there's a time in your life that you want to take notes, this is probably that time. I promise you, I'm not going to hold back. We're not going to hold back. We're going to call it as it is. We've been asked to talk something familiar around what we spoke about last time, as much as myself and Amelia could talk for months and months and months on any topic you want to talk about. We're going to talk about leadership and up-and-coming leaders here today. We're going to discuss, if you saw us in the Gold Coast last year, and we're going to take that to another level. We're going to ramp it up, but we're going to dive into the rabbit hole. We're going to go down that rabbit hole, and we're going to make sure that when you get out of here, you finish this hour with it, that you have a really good understanding of what's ahead of you and how it is you can manage and master your life to be able to actually achieve the things that you want to achieve. Because you're around masters here. That's who you're around. You're around people who are heavily invested in the mastery of who they are.
So our intention as we go through this morning, this morning in our time, the intention as we go through this is to challenge you a little bit, challenge your thinking a little bit, because as Celine said, we don't grow unless we're challenged in some way. And one of the things that people do is they try to stay comfortable and grow, and you actually can't stay comfortable and grow. Growth and comfort don't occupy the same space. Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to challenge you a little bit in order for you to step up to the next level, whatever that next level is for you.
So the first thing, we have a series of topics we want to talk to you about here. One of the things I want to make sure that I talk to you about is picking up the reins of a challenge, and what happens when we do that, and what happens if we don't do that. And I'm going to talk to you not as the masses, I'm going to talk to you as the masters and the up-and-coming masters. So, and I'm going to make sure that as we reveal this information to you, we make it simple, implementable, understandable, relatable. We're not going to give you hocus pocus, smoke and mirrors. We're going to call it as it is and say, this is how it works. So
let's get started.
Yeah, let's get started. So in terms of the fact that most of you have now stepped into a business and into an organization, and you want to be able to lead in the field. You haven't just bought the product. You've decided, no, I want to start a business, a juice plus business. And one of the first things I would say to you is that it is vitally important. It is vitally important that you love what it is that you're bringing to other people's lives. And what I mean by that, and I want to give you the definition of love. The definition of love is that it's the synthesis of complementary opposites. It's the unification of seemingly opposing sides. I'll say it again. The definition of love is that it's the synthesis of complementary opposites. It's the unification of seemingly opposing sides. And the reason I'm saying this to you is that you can't love things in halves. You have to love both the praise and the reprimand. You have to love both the support and the challenge. You have to love both the acceptance and the rejection. Because as you go through into the world with an intention to change people's health and well-being, you're going to be challenged. You're going to be rejected. I promise you this is going to happen. It is inevitable. But when that's happening, that's when you know you're on track. So I'm going to tell you there are two things that have to occur when a person is on mission. The first thing is that they have to have faith. And the second thing is that they have to have courage. So faith and courage are a direct signal that you are on track and you are fulfilling your vision and your mission and what it is you're here to do. If you're not having to summon those two things within your life, then you're off track. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to live a life of halves. If you expect that when you go to pitch your product to a human being, that everybody's going to love it and everybody's going to love you and everybody's going to want it, you're wrong. But so how then do we take such an awesome product into the world and do it with love? Well, I don't want you to love anything else in your life other than you. and your objective to love another, you have to have love for yourself, every part of you. The part of you that has to be strong, the part of you that has to be weak, the part of you that has to be aggressive, the part of you that has to be empathetic. You have to love every single part of you as you venture forward into your business and into your organization. And the way in us knowing this, if you think that Richard Branson is only empathetic, compassionate, caring, loving, you're wrong. Richard Branson understands that he has to be both. Because if he is building a plane that's going to take him into the atmosphere and his engineers are behind by 4 years and he's got 300 clients waiting to get into that plane, trust me, he's going to need to be strong. He's going to need to be arrogant. He's going to need to be powerful. He's going to need to be all of those things. So understand this, when you, in taking on this business, it is going to challenge how you behave. And it is going to challenge you from the inside. But what I want you to know in terms of the inside of you is that if you're going to transform your world on the outside, it's going to happen from the inside first. It's not going to happen the other way around. It is futile to try to change your world outside of you, because nothing of your sensory reality is ever going to quench or resolve what resides inside of you. So nothing of your senses will ever satisfy your soul. It can't. And the reason I'm saying this is because I want you all to understand that you're now in the game and in the field of transformation. That's the game and the field you're in. You're in the game and the field of transforming children's health and well-being. And there's a responsibility that goes with that. You're in the field of transforming people who are ill, who are not well. You're in the business of transforming people's lives who just, want to actually have a life change. And in doing that, you have to be able to manage all of you. There's gonna be times when you're gonna need to be yourself. And being yourself means that you know exactly who you are and you're okay with being every single part of you. Don't step into this world trying to be only one side, because it's futile. It just isn't working.
So it's important that we start with this. It's important that at anything we talk about, any type of leadership, any type of access that you're trying to have with other people starts with love. And it starts with love of you. It starts with love of your product. It starts with the love of your clients. It starts with the love of what you bring to the table. If you don't have that, the rest of what we have to talk about really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. What is important and what is necessary is that you're totally in love with what it is you're doing.
Yeah.
If you don't, the reason that this works, guys, is because of something that we call our values. We have things that we just hold in high esteem in our lives. And each and every one of you have a value of some sort that has aligned with this business. The value may be the value of health, because you are so inspired about health that you want to bring this health to everyone that you meet. Your value may not be health, it might be in part health, but your greater value might be freedom and the ability to work wherever you want in the world and to have the freedom to be able to travel and to be able to live your own life. Either way, you have to get why you love this.
Yes.
You have to get why you're here. And love is the key to figuring that out. And when you do that, you start to understand that you actually love yourself enough to be in this place. You love yourself enough to weather the pleasure and the pain that are going to come with building a business, that are going to come with becoming a leader, that are going to come with growing who you are. Because as I said earlier, as you're growing, you're going to be uncomfortable. If you're not doing what you love, you won't handle that discomfort. You will, it will, everything will fall apart at your feet. If you do what you love, the discomfort will just be something that happens along the way, and it won't be something that's in your way.
So I think we'll move on from this in a second, but I think it's important because we're talking to a lot of new people that are just venturing into this business. You have to be able to embrace the challenge of growing and looking and understanding who you are. I said to the team yesterday, you can't get wealthy collecting coins that only have one side. Don't be one-sided in this business, guys. Understand that there's going to be times when you're going to have to be tough, you're going to have to be hard, you're going to have to be empathetic, you're going to have to be loving, you're going to have to do all of it. And especially at the beginning of this business, I said I've seen it with all, so many of the Juice Plus people that we've worked with, there's a tipping point. And normally the most amount of work has to happen at the start. The most amount of inner reflection has to occur at the beginning. And there's a tipping point. There's a point where it just tips over and all of the work that you put in just goes click, 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 and falls into place. And then suddenly you've got an organism. Suddenly you're a leader. Suddenly you've stepped up into who you are. You're emanating and shining. Because remember, if you can't be a hypocrite in this business, you've got to be authentic. You've got to be yourself. And you've got to lead from inside, not outside.
I want to next make a point about education. And you're all in this room, guys, because you are educating yourselves. You want to know more, you want to be more, you want to grow more. Until the day you die, you will be educating yourself.
Yeah.
And a leader understands that. You'll hear some people go, why do I have to keep working on myself? And the truth about it is that we keep working on ourselves because we're growing organisms, because there are new things to learn, new places to discover, new places to venture into. Education is key if you want to lead.
Yeah.
Education is key if you want to know about who you are and what you bring to the table. Education is key as you get from one level of your business to the next level, as you get from this level to the next level, as you get from this level to the next level. You can't move in your life unless you're educating yourself. Education is paramount.
The other thing I would say to you is when, when we're growing and we're evolving and we're educating ourselves, and we're challenging ourselves on the inside. And as that occurs, again, there is a tipping point. There's definitely a place where, I used to educate myself because I thought I was broken. I'm deadly serious. I remember getting into the field of human development many years ago, and I was like, oh my God, I've got all this stuff that went on when I was a kid, and I've got all this stuff that happened. And then one day somebody sat my ass down and helped me to get it. And all of that stuff that was going on for me was founded in a dominating thought. I had this dominating thought that I just wasn't good enough. And as you move through this business, your dominating thought is going to come to the forefront. You're going to have to deal with that part of you. As you start to earn serious money, you're going to be you're going to have to be questioning your loyalties of the people you have around you, because there's a number of reasons why people sabotage their business. And one of them is breaking moral authority. One of them is feeling as if they're going to surpass people. Another one is feeling like they're going to leave people that they love behind. And you have to be able to deal with that stuff and understand that the only thing those people would ever want for you is to actually grow. So there is going to come a point where you're going to have to deal with whatever that subconscious saboteur that has sabotaged things throughout your life up until this point. You're going to have to deal with that. And the way you do that is to educate yourself. You've got to understand that you are the mechanism that grows this business. And the best way to do that is through education. And the common thread amongst all your top end people that are in that room, if you have a look, there's a common thread amongst all of them. They have a savage appetite to understand how this thing works that they're in, meaning love. How does this thing work? And education is the only way that you'll do that. But I promise you, for those of you that will sustain this business, that will move forward in this business, there will come a point where you and I will sit and you will flick that moment and you will have this, and you will laugh and cry simultaneously, and you will get, oh my God, now I do PD work because I love it. Because I'm not doing it because I think I'm broke anymore. I'm not doing it because I think I'm poor anymore. I'm not doing it because I'm not in this business anymore because I think I'm not smart enough, or because I want to be able to get ahead. You'll be doing it simply because you love it. So you see then that education now ties into love and the love of the product.
Yeah, and everything we talk about is going to tie into the next element, and the next element actually does tie into that beautifully, because when you educate, you see what you bring to the table. What is so important as you're growing your business, as you're growing yourself, is to actually recognize what it is that you bring to the table. Because what happens is that, especially as we're starting off, and I know for me, as soon as, like, I was a big wig in the because I used to be a school teacher. I was a big wig in the teaching industry. I knew my stuff. And I came into the personal development industry and I felt small. I felt like, who am I? What is it that, I felt like a fish out of water. I felt like I didn't know my place. You know your place, and you step into your place as you start to affirm who you are.
Yeah.
As you start to recognize what it is that you bring to the table. And when you do this, and we spoke to the guys about this yesterday, when you do this, you have to do it very, very specifically, but you have to be clear about what it is that you actually bring, because it's very easy to sit there and go, oh, these guys, these leaders that we hold in high esteem over here, they're smart, they're intelligent, they're dedicated, they're committed, they've got all these qualities and characteristics that I don't feel I have. When you affirm yourself, you start to recognize what it is you bring to the table. So my recommendation for you is that every time you action and you watch yourself achieving something, you affirm to yourself what you've done. And when you affirm to yourself what you've done, you must do it in terms of time, space, and location.
So my recommendation is that you got to see it like this. Why would the macrocosmic universe give to the microscopic human being if the microscopic human being doesn't feel that they deserve it, or
Exactly.
can't tell the macroscopic universe that they can handle it? So vitality flows to where there's clarity of self. So when a person is really, really clear with who they are, they're vitalized. So the universe, life is waiting for you to declare your worth. The masses are never going to declare your worth. And the exterior reality is never going to declare your worth. You have to declare your worth. You have to tell life that you're worth it. So how do you do that? Well, you got to do it in terms of time, space, and location. Like if you walk out of a meeting where you've been sitting with 5 clients, and you know that in that meeting you were empathetic, well, then you've earned the right to call yourself an empathetic human being. You can't fake that stuff. You can't just go, hey, I'm empathetic. I know that I'm empathetic and loving and caring. I'm sorry, but that just doesn't put it. You've got to be able to acknowledge in terms of time, space, and location what you bring to the table. And I said to some of your top guys yesterday, my recommendation is that you sit down at the side of your bed each night and you have a piece of paper and a pen. And you ask yourself, at least 5 to 10 qualities and attributes that you earned the right to acknowledge that you have inside of yourself each day. And it's got to be in terms of time, space, and location. Like you might have been listening to your kid where normally, your kid would be going off and you just get angry. But this time you stopped and you listened to them and you heard them. That means you've earned the right to call yourself a good listener. And no one will declare that for you. You have to declare that for you. Now, I want you to understand something. That life is listening. It listens to everything. Everything you tell yourself, it's listening to.
And the universe is waiting for you to do just that.
Yeah.
The universe is waiting for you to declare your worth.
Yeah.
People think that when a life happens to them and when they are successful, then they'll declare to the world that they're smart and they're strong and they're empathetic. It doesn't work that way.
So watch what we're talking about here. That concept of, hey, when the money turns up, then I'm going to feel enough. When all the clients sign up, then I'm going to feel I have a business. No. You have to do it the other way around. You got to cause that effect. You got to make that. So you have to turn up in that space before you arrive, and you got to wait there until you turn up. So I'll say that again.
It's very cool if you can get what he's saying just said.
Guys. So you got to turn up in that space. You got to feel as if you're already enough. So you got to turn up in that space before the world arrives, and you got to wait there for the world to arrive. So when we are able to declare this to ourselves, and the reason I'm saying this is because I know you got these challenges ahead of yourself. You know that if you're used to earning $5,000 a month and suddenly $20,000 comes in, you're going to be wobbly as hell. You're going to be like, you won't be able to sustain it. You may sabotage it. You may, you'll find that you'll attract bills, all of that sort of stuff. To make sure that doesn't happen, you have to turn up before you arrive and wait there until you turn up.
So that turning up before you arrive is when you think you're going to be successful. What is that going to look like? What's that going to feel like for you?
Yeah.
That feeling is what you've got to feel now. You can't feel like crap now and expect to get that feeling happen to you. It's not going to work.
So watch what she said. When you think you're going to be successful, let me tell you something. If you think you're going to be successful, you're always going to think you're going to be successful. I'll meet you in 10 years, and guess what?
That thought will still be there.
You'll be on your deathbed going, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be successful. And I'm telling you that the next success will be your death, and you will have been successful at dying. So you have to be, you understand what I'm talking about? You have to be successful before you're successful. That's what every one of your top end people that are in that room. I'm revealing the secrets of what they did. I'm telling you that that's what they did. They got that they were already successful. Now, when you feel as if you're successful, as if it's already happened, it's only a matter of time before success finds you. I'll say that again because I think it's a pretty cool statement. I don't know whether we've lost you guys. Alex, can you hear? Can you guys hear us?
We just lost.
Okay, sorry, we just lost an image.
So we're now just looking at ourselves and talking to ourselves, but that's okay.
That's okay. I'm talking to myself now. I'm talking to myself most of the time as well, by the way, people. If you want to be successful, guys, you have to be there before it arrives. This is called causing the effect. In quantum theory, causing the effect is to match the frequency internally with the reality you want on the outside. I'll say that again. In quantum theory, to cause the effect is to match the frequency inside of yourself with the reality that you want on the outside. Because we now know through quantum entanglement that our internal reality is broadcasting and collaborating. I was having this conversation with Dr. John DeMartini last night. We did a couple of hours recording, the two of us, or the three of us, myself, Amelia, and John. And we were discussing how the internal world is actually collaborating with the external world. And, when you're talking at that level with John, you dive into a rabbit hole, you're cooking your brain. You plug the brain in and you're sizzling away. But I'll simplify it so you can understand. Because your brain and central nervous system is a broadcasting system, and people say to you, you create your reality. Yep, you're creating your reality. Yeah, I'm creating my reality. Yes, you're creating all of it. Every bit of it. There's none of it you're not creating. In fact, if you peer out the window to your left there, everything that's going on out there is only going on out there because you're thinking. If you weren't thinking, that's not there. Whoa. So that means your reality is happening from the inside out. And on top of this, you also created me and Amelia here. And you've done really well. Would you agree? I mean, some of you got some shitty tickets down the back, but most of the time you can see that you've done pretty well here, yeah? So understand, we are you, you are us. You're creating the whole thing. So the question is, when you wake up tomorrow morning, is the reality that you walk into the greatest example of your creation? And if it's not, then the only way for you to make it the greatest example of your creation is that you have to start from the inside. You have to know what you bring to the table, understand who you are, turn up before you arrive, and wait there until you turn up.
So just to summarize what we're saying there is if you want that feeling, guys, you've got to feel that now. If you want to feel successful, get where you're successful now. This is why affirmation is so important. This is why checking into what you bring to the table and being specific in terms of time, space, and location is essential.
So can I ask the room a question? Am I cooking your brain too much here, guys? Am I going too fast? I just want to respond to you guys. Okay, you okay with what we're doing so far?
All good.
Are you all good? I think Celine's good.
Celine's good. That's excellent. One person. Really making a difference.
I don't know whether we're all sitting there going. They're all sitting there going.
Okay. So let's talk about another thing. A lot of people think that motivation is key in terms of being successful and becoming a leader. Motivation is actually the last thing that you want. When you're motivated, what happens is that you need to be propped up and pushed forward in order to achieve something. What we're talking about here is having an internal drive that assists you to get into where you need to go. That can be nothing further from the truth of motivation. Motivation is when you need external reference points to push you forward. Inspiration is where it comes from within. Best way to explain this is waking a kid up on a school day. They have to be motivated from the outside. Would you agree? Most of the time. But do you have to wake them up on Christmas morning? They're awake. They've decided that they're going to wake up at 3 a.m.
One didn't go to sleep.
Yours don't go to sleep. So the difference between inspiration and motivation is that motivation is external, inspiration is internal. And the reason I want to talk to you about this now, and the reason we want to talk to you about this now, is because as leaders and as people just starting out in business, or as people that are who have a developed business, you have to have a drive. You have to have a reason why you're here, why you're doing this, and why you why this touches you in some way. If the reason is based on someone else, that someone else thinks that this is what you need to do, then you might as well leave the room now. But if this, for any reason, is something that comes from within, some of the reasons that we might have, I mentioned earlier, like health, like travel, like freedom, like lifestyle. If they're the sorts of things that inspire you and you are truly inspired, then that's where you want to be. But you also want to make sure that you're constantly driving further. And driving further is having a reason that's greater than yourself to achieving what you want to achieve.
Yeah. So inspiration, you do not want to be in the field of inspiration or the field of motivation. You don't want to be motivating anybody. So to inspire someone, how do you do it? You must think about what they love and understand you're always going to attract people that do want it and people that don't want it, and you've got to be okay with that. But you got to think about what people love. You got to understand, okay, who is my avatar? Who am I talking to? Who is my ideal client? And you want to get really clear with your ideal client. And what you want to do is, like, if you take some of your top NMDs, if you take Nat, if you take people like Shani, they built kind of a subsidiary business next to their business. And they are really clear about who their demographic is. Really clear about who their demographic is. And it's the same with you. You got to understand that you have shared values with your tribe and with your team. But to understand what those shared values, you need to understand what your shared values are. What are your top 3 values? Because your inspiration lies in your ability to live your life in accordance with your top 3 values. So, and I'll say something else. Your wealth lies in your ability the degree to which you are wealthy or proportionately wealthy is relative to your capacity to live your life in accordance with your top 3 values. So your wealth lies in your top 3 values. It lies in your top 3 values. If you're not living your top 3 values, guess what you're doing? You're helping someone else live their top 3 values at the mercy of your top 3 values. So you've given up your values, you've adopted theirs, and you're helping them live their values at the mercy of yours. So understanding what your top 3 values are is imperative. And then you build your ideal client based on that. You build your ideal client based on the same shared values, because now you've got a common communication. And life is a vibration game. When you're with your girlfriend, you tune in at one frequency. When you're with your mother, you wouldn't tune in at the same frequency as you do with your girlfriend. You're so hot, Mom. You're hot. Because at the end of the day, that's just weird, right? I think it's really, really imperative to understand the values of the people that you have around you. And not everybody's going to have your shared values, guys. Some people's shared values is going to be cake. They just want to eat cake. Give me the cake. Give me the cake. They don't want to eat the tablets that are vegetables. They don't want to do that shit. They just want to eat the cake. You don't want them. You want to get to the people that have an aligned value system. So if your top 3 values is lifestyle, if your top 3 values is money, if your top 3 values is the family, they're your top 3 values. Now you've got your market. Now you build your business. That's your target. Talking to people that have the same shared values, because when you're living that stuff, you're inspired, and they'll look at you and feel you and know this person is cutting the grass correctly.
Now, when you're inspired, guys, what happens is that you have a vision, and you've got something outside of yourself that you're working towards. So if you're working and your specific niche is working with mums and helping them to become free, or perhaps it's working with children, or perhaps it's working with people who want to travel and have a business, whatever your niche is, it doesn't matter. Your niche is your niche because it inspires you, because it's something that touches your heart. As soon as you have that, what happens is that your vision becomes greater than the day-to-day stuff that's going on. And what I mean by that is, if you have that drive and that inspiration to transform maybe your community in terms of the mothers in your community, and one mother says no to the product or the business, it actually isn't going to bother you, because your mission is over here. So it's just a part of what happens along the way. Does that make sense? Because what happens then is that instead of worrying about the incremental things, you've got a vision that you can see in the future that is something that you're working towards. It's like a boxer. We're working very closely with a boxer at the moment. And rather than worrying about the fight, the next fight, he's worrying about the world title. That means the next fight is already won. Does that make sense? The next fight is something that is just automatically going to happen because his vision is much greater than just the next fight. His inspiration is much greater than just the next occurrence.
So now what's happening is that every human being has what's known as a point of inertia, a point where they will reach a glass ceiling. You know, they hit this glass ceiling. Like, you know, they'll have, if you look at their lives, there's an average amount of money that they've earned all the way through their life, and they've never been able to get beyond that glass ceiling. In order to be able to get on that glass ceiling, you have to have a vision that is bigger than the pettiness of the existing life you're living. So get what I said? And when I say petty, I'm not being derogatory. I'm telling you that this is reality. You have to have a vision that is bigger than the pettiness of the existing life you're already living in. And that vision must be of service to other human beings. But the first place that service starts is with you. Because you can't run around giving everybody else your energy and not you. And you have to understand that we lead people from within. And we shine from within and we help people from within. And one of the things in terms of, I'll tell you who the boxer is now. His name is Dennis Hogan. He's an Irish guy. He's a beautiful guy. He's really a lovely fella. But he's lethal. And he's when I met him, he had 23 wins and he had 1 loss in his whole career. And after the loss, he was devastated. And then when he contacted me and said, look, I felt myself dropping my hands. So that meant that as he was getting to his glass ceiling, he started to sabotage it. So I knew it was just an innermost dominating thought. So it turned out that the reason he was sabotaging was based on a story he was running in his head about not wanting to surpass his father's success. So I had to equilibrate his father and get him to shift the innermost dominating thought. But then I had to help him to build a vision that was greater than the fight. So I said, no, we're not here to win the belt. That's going to happen anyway. Look, I've rang all the stretchers. They'll all be there for them. Don't worry. We'll stretch them off out of the ring. But my vision then was, no, we're going to dominate this industry. So now what he's done is, if you check his career and where he's at with his career, and they've just started their own sports sponsorship company, and they're the second biggest sponsorship company in Australia, and they're going to be the biggest in Australia. They're huge, and you'll check it out on Facebook. You'll see the next fight that they got coming up. And then, the objective with this chap was to have a horizon mentality. The vision had to be immense. It had to be immense. I had to get past that glass ceiling. You have to go within, and you have to bust through any emotional things that are holding you back. And then you have to have a vision that is immense. It's the same thing with Celine. I did it with Celine. Celine, we got to have a vision that's immense, that's greater than the pettiness of where we're already at. Absolutely, Mitch. And the thing about Celine and the common thread amongst all the NMDs or any of the guys that have worked with this, they do their work. They do their work.
So, key here then, guys, is what is the vision? What is the drive? Why are you doing this? And you've already answered the why inside of yourself in some way, shape, or form. It's either because of the travel, the health, the lifestyle, something. But something drew you to this. You have to resonate with that at a greater level. So the stuff that's happening along the way is just a part of the process of you to getting to that long-term dream. The next thing I want to talk about is making sure that you're yourself.
Yeah.
One of the things that people find as they're building a business, and I touched on it earlier, is that they see other people around them and they think that they have to be these other people in order to make a difference. I'm noticing I'm using my hands a lot and my hands keep going off the screen. I'm an Italian and this is what happens. And
it's very hard to get good stuff.
I feel like you're not understanding me because you can't see my hands. Anyway, this is what goes on in my mind. Anyway, you have to be yourself, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. For me, I understand that I speak in a particular way. I connect with people in a certain way. I know that I have certain strengths and abilities that are me. The thing is that I also know that I have certain weaknesses that are me as well. I know that there are certain things I'm not as good at, I'm not as smart about, I'm not as intelligent about. For example, I've nothing to do with politics. You ask me about politics, anything, and I'm asleep within 2 seconds. And I used to think that I needed to know about all these upcoming current events in order to achieve, in order to communicate with people. The truth is that I leave that to other people who they love talking about it. That's not me. I can't try and be someone else because I can never be the best version of someone else. I can only be the best version of myself. So if I have a weakness in some way, if I have a something that I think is holding me back, the thing that you think is holding you back is actually your gateway in order for you to go and achieve the dream and the vision that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
So for example, if your weakness, if you feel that your weakness is, you know what, I'm overweight, how can I talk about health? That's your gateway. If you feel like I have an accent, people aren't going to understand me, that's your gateway. Whatever it is that you think is holding you back is your gateway to actually making it. But the key is that you have to be okay with being you.
So I'll just throw something else in there. One of the things that it can happen when, you know, when we're, first thing I'll say is that imitation is suicide. So write that down. Imitation is suicide. Trying to imitate another human being kills you. I mean, you try to imitate another human being, and I've had this all the way through my career. People trying to imitate us, trying to imitate our work, trying to do it. It's very normal stuff. It's just a natural part. It's flattering for us, but it's suicide for them. And imitation is suicide. When you try to be like another human being, you create two of them and none of you. So get what I said there.
It's very important. It's very
when
important.
you try to be like another human being, you create two of them and none of you. So you've got to be yourself. You don't want to, you've got to be yourself. You've got to emanate, step up, shine on every part of you. If you're worried about your health or how you look or whatever that is, that's your gateway. That becomes the reason and the why. That's what you want to be facing.
So you've got to check into your story, guys. Whatever your story is, your story can impact somebody else's life.
Yeah.
But if you're not clear with your story or you want to hide away that story, then you are only presenting a half of yourself to the world. If you present half of yourself to the world, you will not be received with inspiration because people smell that out. They smell that you are just trying to be a half a person.
Yeah.
You can't, so...
Because we're suspicious of that stuff. You know, when somebody is like, you ever met somebody, guys, you ever met somebody that's like, oh my God, you know, I just want to save the world and I love wearing purple and I need to heal everybody and I believe we can all have peace on earth. We've never had peace on earth. What are you talking about? And you can smell a rot. It's just phony. It's not real. You've got to be yourself, warts and all. People will appreciate you for being yourself and they'll resent you for not. Get what I said there? They'll appreciate you for being yourself and they'll resent you for not. When I'm dealing with my top-end clients, my private clients, I kick their asses and they thank me. Do you want to know why? Because it affects their bottom line. It affects their bottom line. And their bottom line is where their values lie. They sit with me and go, God, I really needed that ass kicking. I look at it on my Facebook feed and they'll be going, oh my God, I just had a conversation with Mitch today. My butt is still sore. But man, here's what I learned. I learned this. Because for me, guys, you know, when I had my first shift, when somebody sat me down and shifted my innermost dominating thought, and it changed everything about my reality. From that moment, at that point, I was a drug-taking, alcohol-consuming. My life was spiraled out of control. I was in so much trouble. I almost took my life, guys. Somebody sat my ass down because, and I'm so grateful that they did it because they saw more in me than I saw in myself at that moment. And there is more to you. And in doing that, they allowed me the space to actually love Mitch and to be me. And from that moment on, I knew that I was morally obligated.
I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm letting you
I knew in that moment I was morally obligated to share this message. And you're morally obligated to share your message when you understand and own every part of yourself. It then doesn't become motivation or driver. It becomes inspiration. And you're inspired to share it because you know that you hold the key to help one other person.
So when I first met Mitch, he was very hesitant to tell that side of who he was. He was very hesitant to share exactly the depths of despair that he'd been in. And then we realized how important it was for him to share that story, for him to share exactly who he was, where he'd been, where he'd come from. And as a result of that, he then gets to assist other people. And we have, I mean, do you want to quickly talk about...
Well, let me just say something there. Understand something, though. In you being yourself, it's not going to be all praise.
No.
It's going to be, if you're not getting praised and reprimanded, there's a problem. There's an actual problem. If you're only getting praised, you know, it's a bit like this, you know, the way to see this is, I'll come out of a seminar. Let's say I get off this talk here, right? And I got downstairs and I'm like, whoa! And I get into my car and I put my roof down and I'm driving home and, you know, I get home and I walk in the door and I'm like, honey, I blew their minds. You know, they just loved it. They hugged me, kissed me. Everything was fantastic. She'll look at me and go, really? Do you know you left your underwear on the floor this morning and I tripped up over them walking out the door? You know, you never paid the gas bill last night. You know that comment that you made about my mum? She just happened to be on the other end of the phone and she heard it. Now, here's why. Because when you beat yourself up, guys, someone comes in and beats you down. When you beat yourself down, someone comes in and beats you up. So your objective is to be able to handle your own levels of praise and reprimand. Because if you only want the praise, let me tell you something, the reprimand will come and find you. So if you're able to manage, and the evolution of your stardom has to have an equal balance of support and challenge. The evolution of your life is going to be support and challenge. People are going to love you. People are going to hate you. People are going to, you know, are going to admire you. People are going to be inspired by you. That's just growth. That's just growth. That is a natural part of what goes on. But I'm going to give you a tip in a minute about support and challenge.
But I just want to say, because I want to come back to the story there.
Yeah.
Mitch, in him understanding who he was and being okay with who he was, he then gets to touch other people who have the same story.
Yeah.
So the reason we're saying be yourself is because firstly, you can't be anyone else. But secondly, you do not know who being yourself is going to touch. You look at all the superstars that you look up to. The reason that you love them is because they're just themselves. They're just okay to show you who they are, warts and all.
Yeah.
It's the same in your businesses, guys. If you feel that you are struggling with your weight and you're talking about health, talk about that, because in you talking about that, they see that you're just being you. They're seeing that they're a part of your team and you're okay to share those parts of yourself.
Yeah.
It's important to understand that your story is going to help other people. So know who you are.
So can I just say one last thing? How much time have we got? Guys?
Hey, you got about 5 minutes.
Really?
We've got about like 3 hours more content, so that's a bit awkward.
Okay.
No, we'll move on. We'll move on.
I just want to talk about challenge, right? Now, this is really important that you listen to this, and this is an important message I want you to take away from this. Guys, if you don't pick up the reins of your challenge, it can come in ways that you don't like. So I'll give you an example. One of my challenges this year is I'm taking 40 of my clients up into the jungles of Ecuador to study with an Incan scholar and the ancient teachings and the philosophy of the Incan people. I'll bring with me my wife, my kids, my nanny, and 40 of my clients. So I've got to organize that. Can you see that that's a high-end challenge?
Yes.
When you have high-end challenges, you don't have low-end challenges. Now, meaning, if you don't want to pick up the challenge in your life, no, I don't want to have any challenge. I don't want to move. Those people that don't pick up the challenge of their lives are the ones that get all the phone bills, get all the driving car bills, have all the car crashes, have the illness, have the sickness, because they haven't picked up. I haven't got time for driving fines, so they just don't find me. Does that make sense? And I love fast cars and I drive fast cars all the time. I just don't have time for that stuff because my vision and my focus and my challenges are in my hands. I picked up the reins, and I get that you picking up the reins of the challenge of building this business may be tough for you. I get that. But what sits on the other side of this is your freedom, is your family's freedom, is your financial freedom, is all your dreams and aspirations. So I implore you, for God's sake, you be the one that breaks that lineage. You be the one that smashes that chain. You be the one that everybody goes, you spent how much money? You put how much time in? You be the one that inspires the rest of them. And you're going to be challenged. But let me tell you something. Nothing will get in the way. No petty challenges will come to you if your challenges outweigh the pettiness. So your challenge has got to be big. How do I get to NMD? How do I get to the 100 Club? That's a challenge that won't let any pettiness get in the way.
And
that's your focus.
And it's also long-term, guys. You have to have that long-term vision. You have to see beyond what's just here. When you see beyond, I'll just so you can see my hands. See my hands. When you see, I'm looking beyond here. When you see beyond where you're currently at, when you see beyond this this small space that you're currently in, and your focus is there, everything that comes along the way is just something that happens because you're looking over here. You don't have time for this stuff to happen over here. So you don't get diverted. Your attention doesn't get diverted when you have a long-term vision. When you have a short-term vision are the instant gratification, the immediate stuff. It's like a kid who, bangs their, hands on the table saying, I want it now. When your energy is around about the short-term vision, I want it now, immediate gratification, then you can't see into the future. So you get bogged down by the basics. Everyone needs to have a horizon mentality. When you have a horizon mentality, you don't get bogged down by the basics.
One of the things that we do with our top-end clients in our top-end seminars, and Celine would have done this with me, is we build a 100, a 500, and a 1,000-year vision. Think about that. Now, Sir Arthur Guinness, who created Guinnesses, and one or two of you have drank Guinness in your life, and Sir Arthur Guinness, he was the guy who, when he discovered Guinness, he then went out and leased the land to build a factory for 1,000 years.
999.
It's 1,000.
999.
At 999. But the point about it is guys, when people...
He had a vision, right?
Had a vision. When people are addicted to the short-term satisfaction stuff, they don't want to give it up for a long-term vision because they think if they give up, if they're into the week-to-week, mouth-to-mouth, hand, food-to-mouth, don't know where I'm going to get my rent next week, that's an addiction. That's an addiction. That's not a result of circumstances. That's an addiction. That's something that has been wired into you. You have been bred that way. You're raised with that addiction. The quality of your life is dependent on the quality of your addictions. So if you have a longer-term vision, the reason people want to invest in a long-term vision is because they think they're going to lose all the short-term satisfaction stuff. But in actual fact, the short-term satisfaction stuff gets better. Understand? Like, I don't sip champagne in a pub. I sip champagne on the back of a ship with some of the biggest educators in the world because I have a long-term vision. Does that make sense? So a long-term vision pays. A short-term vision costs. Get what I said there? A long-term vision pays. A short-term vision costs. Now, people say to me, I don't know what my vision is. Everybody knows what their vision is. The problem is you just haven't taken it from here and put it down on paper. It's very wise to write down what you're thinking, what your long-term vision for your life is.
Have we got maybe another 2 minutes? Because I want to just make one last point as we're to finish that. Go for it? Okay. Something that we mentioned at conference last year, and I really want to leave you with this because it's so important. And I can't see you guys. I can see blank screen, so I'm going to look at myself and talk to myself as I speak. I want you to think about who and what is the prize in your business. Give me a yes, since I can't see you and you can't raise your hands and show me. Oh, there you are. I can see you again. Tell me, raise your hands to tell me whether you feel that the product, the product that you're selling, if that's the prize. Raise your hand for me. Let me see who you are. Okay, cool. Raise your hand if it's the business that's the prize. If you think it's the business that's the prize, raise your hand. Great. Raise your hand if you think it's the lifestyle that's the prize. Okay.
Well, let this one. Raise your hand if you feel that the prospect is the prize. The person,
the client
is the prize. Raise your hand if you believe that. Okay.
So here's what we're here to tell you guys, and we love you, but you're all wrong. You are the prize. You are the prize. You and what you bring to the table is what is important here. Someone else can provide the health. Someone else can provide the business. Someone else can provide the freedom. As great as the company is, it is you that's the prize. They are coming to you for a reason. They're coming to you for what you can bring to the table. They are not going to someone else. They're coming to you. They're in front of you because you are their prize. As soon as you guys can get that, you will be able to step into your leadership. You will be able to step into who you are. As soon as you get the horizon mentality, that you educate yourself, you can affirm yourself, you can share your story, you can educate, you can be unapologetically yourself, you get that you're the prize, and that's what helps you to grow your business.
And hey presto, that's leadership.
Woo!
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Celine. I hope we've got somebody in the room. I trust. Did we help one or two of you?
Yeah.
Good work. Thank you, Mrs. Egan.
Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate you guys. Awesome. You're so giving. Good time. And yeah, let's give it up again.
Go get him. Go get him. Go get him.
They're looking forward to being over there in person soon.
Oh yeah, we're coming over next year. Do you guys want us to come over next year? We're going to show you how to master money. We're going to show you how to get this whole money thing out of the way so you can just go for it. We're going to do that over 2 days next year. We promise, okay? Thanks for your love and support, guys. Bye-bye.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye-bye.